Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast. The recap of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift Stage 7, the Queen Stage, finishing on Mont Ventoux, the bald mountain we've never seen, or at least I haven't, the women do this in a major race like this before. We had the Col de la Madeleine last year, which was chaos and excitement. This year, Ventoux, GC gaps tight. Remember, before this stage, Reusser with a narrow lead in the Maillot Jaune, 12 seconds ahead of Vollering. We all expected Vollering to take that time back on Ventoux today, but Niewiadoma lingering. Go and have a look at the Fenestra GC position before that stage. Niewiadoma's not far. 1 minute 17 off Reusser, 1 minute and 5 seconds off Vollering. She has a minute herself, more or less, on fourth along a Borghini. So she's got space to play. This episode is brought to you by Thompson Bike Tours. The profile, no, that's not true. It's not a Unipuerto. We have a few climbs, a couple of Cat 2s and a Cat 3. This Suzette 4K 6%, it's like 50 Ks from the finish. But the main attraction of the day is Ventoux, up to 1,900 meters. From Bedouin, it's 20 Ks. From Saint-Estève, 15.6 Ks, 9%. From Chalet Renard, it's not as steep. It's then shallower. It's 7%. It's exposed. And what was the wind gust today, Benji?
The wind gust today, I don't know the exact wind gusts. I just assumed there would be headwind based on the weather conditions. Yes,
in knots.
Up to this point. And how am I going to guess? I don't even know what a knot is.
Neither do I.
I just know there was going to be headwind, and therefore I adapted my prediction of how long the climb would take for the first rider according to that headwind. And I don't want to spoil it, but you guessed a little bit too low, Patrick.
No, I was correct. When you do if you do like Diamond League, like Athletics, IAF, if you do wind adjusted time, I was bang on, I think. So you're saying your estimate was without considering the context of the weather that we already knew at the time of guessing? It was implied. It was implied in our estimations that they were wind adjusted.
This is some cop-out.
No?
I don't care. I don't care. We can just
decide.
skip the 150 points. I'll win anyway, Patrick.
I'm good. I think I did. Maybe today's stage winner, I did say she was looking good, had a chance to win maybe the overall. She was sneaky. We'll get to it. They'll get to it in a second. It was a cracking stage. It was one of the stages of the year. This race keeps delivering year on year on year. This race just keeps delivering. And today we had another historic stage. Not just historic from a level perspective for women's cycling, but also just for the race dynamics. Van der Breggen didn't start, or abandoned rather. She's not been herself. She's out of the race. And the break, Benji, was, no GC teams really, and no one that's even a fringe threat.
Yeah, basically. And the break formed very late as well. There were a couple of moves in the first half of the race, but it's really in the second half that a break of 9 riders formed. Marit Rijmakers, Ruby Rosemann-Gannon, Amalie Didriksen, 2 riders from Laboral, Eraso, and Patinho. Then we've got Etzet from UNOX, Sandrine Tas, I think speed skater from Lotto, Clémence Latimier from the Petite Entreprise, so the Patrick SpongeBob bikes, Fiona Mangan for Mayenne. So that's the 9 women breakaway, but there was a bit of a chasse patate behind that with Van Berswoord, ex-Jumbo rider, now riding for Volker Wessels, and Marianne Vos, actual Visma rider. So that's the duo behind that. They were pretty close at the start, but then basically just washed away and got back to the peloton towards the intermediate sprint. But they managed to survive before the intermediate sprint. So this resulted in women's only taking 3 points at the intermediate sprint from the peloton. I don't think it matters. I think second in the classification might actually be Kopecky, but I could be wrong. Might be a GC rider at this point. Don't know. The gap is significant, and tomorrow's a potential sprint stage, so that will probably lock up green either way. Now, Vos, Van Berswoord get caught, then the breakaway is the only riders ahead. I was kind of surprised to see Evita Muzic dropping before we get to Ventoux in the first place. Persico as well. The thing with Persico is, Patrick, when we started covering the Tour de France Femmes when it first existed, she was literally a top 5 GC rider, no? Persico?
Or GC or puncher?
She top 5 the race. When Van Vleuten won on Plage de Belleville, right? Am I inventing that?
No, she was second in GC and UAE Tour last year. She was second on her feet. Yeah, you're right. You're not misremembering. You are 100% correct. I've just forgotten it.
I think her legs have too. And I don't mean that in like a shameful way. I hope we see the best Persico on the climbs.
She was 5th in 22.
We were like announcing her as a rider that would be fighting for GC for multiple years, and we didn't really see that coming out, I would say. But I'll get us towards the start of Mont Ventoux already, Patrick, because there are a couple more attacks by Latimier and I think at the start of the Mont Ventoux Bedouin segment. But before we get to Mont Ventoux, I have no clue who is today's show partner, so I'll guide it towards you.
Yeah, if you want to ride, it's a good segue because it's about Mont Ventoux. If you've seen it, the iconic climb today, and if you want to ride the iconic Mont Ventoux, where we've seen another memorable moment in cycling history, you can do that with Thompson Bike Tours. They help you experience the race, ride the legendary roads firsthand. Thompson combines incredible riding with live race viewing. If you choose one of the race packages, you can also do the packages like the icons packages. That's maybe one. Yeah, I would do. You know, I'm not gonna just for the sake of the read. I'm not gonna be dishonest. You know, I don't like going to the races. I would love to do Mont Ventoux sort of in my own speed, or do any of the iconic climbs fully supported by Thompson. So yeah, you can choose to experience the tour from start to finish. You can choose a shorter trip focused on select stages, or you can pick one of the trips that has key climbs that you've always wanted to do that you've seen on TV. But advanced reservations for Thompson's 2027 tour trips are now open. Remember, it starts in the UK next year, so we start in Scotland, then go down to Liverpool, down then to Wales, back over to I assume they go to France at some point, I would think.
My garden in the UK?
Yeah, they go. I don't think they go past Benji's house. They've done a big detour around him into Wales, but yeah, advanced reservations are open now, giving you priority also when the full itinerary are released, because we don't know, as I said, we don't know more than stage 1, 2, 3 next year. Visit thompsonbiketours.com and mention LRCP 100 in the comments when reserving to receive $100 credit on your final booking. And if you're interested in any of other Thompson's cycling trips around the world, which I mentioned that they're the ones that I really like, you can also use the code LRCP100 for $100 credit. But otherwise, we'll see you in the start of the Tour de France next year. We'll be there in Scotland, so we'll see you there. And Thompson's the best way to be there as well. All right, start Ventoux. It's who was attacking it? I already Vallières did like a reverse lead out.
It's kind of like in steps, because we said Mont Ventoux is 2 different climbs yesterday, because you've got the technically unofficial Mont Ventoux, which is 21.7 kilometers, because you've got a climb already starting before we get to 15.6 kilometers to go. 15.6 is where the actual Saint-Estève segment begins. So that's the steep Mont Ventoux that we know of, is how we classify it. There was a bit of a crash in the run in there. I think Laura de Schepper and Mavi Garcia crashed in the run into that. Movistar was pacing there, and I think the switch happened the second we switched onto the Saint-Estève segment. So with 15.6 kilometers to go, FDG comes to the front, and it's Célia Gerry, Berthet, and Voting as a 3-rider train. And that's where you jump in with your Madeleine Vallières attack, and I'm pretty sure Fisher Black afterwards as well. But am I correct in saying that Gerry responded differently to both attacks?
Gerry was in the wheel of Vallières, like properly in the wheel. And this is where I said yesterday, Demi doesn't have to do anything. We all know at the end of this climb, she can look at Pog v Jonas last year Tour de France Ventoux, right? In the last 250 meters, you can take the Bonies plus, and also Cassia if she's there. You can take 6 Boni Delta plus 10 seconds on the road in like 100 meters, 150 meters. Demi doesn't actually have to do anything. But that's not the climb we see. We see a pretty hard pace from FDJ. We see Ferran-Prevot dropped, De Vries dropped, Talita de Jong dropped, Fisher Black attacks, then drops herself. And then Nomi Rug starts pacing. The versatile sprinter, she starts shredding, proper pace. We got less than 10 riders, around 10 riders in the group. We got Holmgren, Niedermeyer, Blasi, ELB, Reusser, Cassia, and Vollering at least, plus Kerbal, who of course is who Ruig is pacing for. So Kerbal had good legs today. And also, remember, she came last year in GC, she came 8th, was it? 8th.
I don't remember.
And now she's into 6th, so they had a plan. She had good legs today, and the race isn't over as well. I mean, she's she's only 40 seconds behind fifth. Top 5 would be nice for her. And she's also the best placed French rider, just quietly. So EF got a plan for Kerbol. They're executing it. I liked it. Then Niedermeyer takes over. She starts pacing. Rug's dropped. Holmgren's dropped. 200 meters later, Demi attacks off the Niedermeyer pace through a hairpin. She goes the long way around. This is in Chalet Renard, so we still got the steep section for another, I'll say 2.5 Ks. And this climb, you really have to understand it's in 2 parts. The first 2/3 or half is Chalet Renard, maybe 30 minutes. And then the Bald Mountain part is exposed, 6.5%, 40 Ks an hour, whatever that is in knots. Benji knows. He'll tell you via WhatsApp later. It's really,
by
really...
iMessage.
It's via iMessage. It's very strong wind. If you're Demi, where's your advantage? If you're Roycer, where's your advantage? I mean, sometimes cycling is a simple sport, and this is a great moment here of small woman, big climb, steep climb, go fast. Big woman, big power, 6% headwind, go fast. Demi, I think this is her mistake here. This is the bigger mistake than what happens later.
So you're saying that the mistake is going too early?
She doesn't need to do this.
Yeah, because she doesn't need to take time on Kasia. She needs to take time on Roycer, which it's 12 seconds, which you can take on paper, arguably even with bonus seconds if necessary in the next.
You can do it in the last curve.
But I don't necessarily think that bonus seconds is the way she should go. She should try to drop Roycer.
But 3 Ks before Renard or 2 Ks before Chalet Renard, it's unnecessary. And also, let Niedermeyer pace.
Yeah, there's 2 angles here, because on one end, I do think that on paper, the bald spot of Ventoux, the segment behind Chalet Renard where the forest has gone, the headwind matters more. That segment, in my head, before I watched the race, I would have said that fits Roycer better than the forest area without the headwind, etc. If you look at that within that bubble, that's also true, right?
Yeah, I think it's really, really hard on that headwind section to drop people out of the wheel.
Yeah.
Like, it's really different to no wind or limited wind, 9-10%, especially after there's been a hard pace. And then you do the acceleration. So Vollering continues. She keeps pacing. It's the 3 of them. It's the 3 podium contenders. Longa Borghini, Vladarchik, Kerbol, Blasi, Niedermeyer drop. They're just behind, but it's only Roycer and Kasia following. I think Roycer just does what she can here. Like, what is Roycer? She has no teammates. It's still, I don't know, from this point, 25 minutes. She's just got to pace herself as best she can. Kasia attacks a K&a-half later. Big attack and the gamble. And this was a strange thing. Demi gave an interesting interview. It didn't matter because she still won the other day. But when she was running through the finish of the stage she won where Kasia attacked, she said, I knew Kasia would attack because she goes long, because she always does. I knew Roycer would gamble. So then I was like, but then why open the gap?
Yeah.
And the same thing happens here. Kasia attacks on the steep section because small person, big climb, go fast. And Royce is like, well, I got no business following that. I also have 1:17 on her. And I think Royce should not try to respond here. And she does the right thing. Demi looks at her, gap opens, and we have ourselves a bike race. We have Finestra 2025 all over again.
Yeah, in some sense, that's very much true. The thing with Roycer, for me, is that I fully agree with you. She doesn't need to jump close to Kasia Niviadon because she's also clever enough to know that she has limits in that sense. If she does that here, she's going to explode later. And at that point, her closest competitor is still voting, where I see the roads diverge. I think that's an English word. Like what's the clip from that Fast and the Furious movie, where Paul Walker drives off to the side street after I think he passed away in real life. That scene, that is where we diverge from where we were on Finestre. On Finestre, Del Toro just stays in the wheel. Here, Roycer and Vollering at least collaborate after a certain portion of time, after the initial bluffing happens.
But in this phase,
we see, I think, Vollering, first attacking Roycer to try and get across. in so doing not separating. So she's basically hard pacing Reusser back to the wheel of Niewiadoma. But before she gets there, maybe when the gap was down to 6 or 7 seconds.
5 seconds max.
Yeah, it was really small. Then she elbow flicks.
Yeah.
And that's where it dies.
And this, so up to there, I think it was identical because Carapaz did try to come back to Simon Yates. And then, as you say, the fork in the road, they changed because here she flicks Reusser, but Reusser is like, I have to recover. Demi was not pacing back. It was seated, attacking. She had Reusser. Reusser's trying to get aero. Cassia's doing her pace now. And so the initial gap Cassia got for free, quote unquote, off her attack, then let her just keep pacing at threshold. And the other two are now stop starting. And yeah, Vollering, I don't know. I also don't think she does anything wrong here. I think Demi trying to drop Reusser and get to Cassia and use Cassia as bait, I also think that's a decent move. Because it's also, the gap is not big. The gap is 10 seconds, 15 seconds here. The problem is now they both have to recover because Demi's attacked, Reusser's responded. Reusser's like, I'm not going to just start pacing at threshold and you counter me. I don't know how strong you are. Remember, they've got a minute on her. The gap goes to 30 seconds. They start collaborating, I would say. But Royce is pacing more, and the gap just goes out and out and out. Demi short pulls. The gap goes out, and then suddenly the group of ELB, Blasi, they're collaborating really well. It's still, I thought this is still totally under control. Even when the gap was 1 minute, I was like, there's no problem here for them. Because we exit Chalet Renard, and you now have the tipping point from two bigger riders with more power collaborating. They should be ripping into this gap of Cassia's.
Yeah, but it's exactly at that moment that I start looking at the faces of both Reusser and Vollering. I start to see grimacing on Vollering where I'm like, she kind of looks cooked at this point in the race. At this point, I think she's struggling after the attacks.
McDonald's new variety brought to you by the Tour de France Femmes, Le Cooked.
No, it's my best French. But I think for that first segment of the Pale Mountain, that Pale segment of Chalet Renard, it genuinely looks like they're both also on their limit. That they're also struggling, maybe mentally as well. I think the time gap was at this point starting to come to the point where it's 1 minute 12, 1 minute 13. For context, before the stage began, it's I think 1:17 from Kasia to Reusser in GC, 1 minute 05-ish between Vollering and Kasia. So that's a relevant thing here. Plus 4 bonus seconds at the finish. Yep. So you got to keep that in mind. So with roughly, let's say 7 kilometers to go, 6 kilometers to go, that area, Kasia goes into the yellow jersey virtually.
That's also
and it keeps expanding to 1 minute 20.
And that threshold's the problem. Like, surely, when did you start to think, because even at 1:15, I wasn't waking up Mrs. Rouge. I was like, these two still have it under control. I was like, this is fun.
Can we call out Miss Rouge for having to be woken up to watch the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift?
Oh, we had a big drive, but
okay.
I was like, this is still under control. At what point, I guess, when it got to 140, I was like, hold on, what's going on here? Because I was like, this also doesn't make any sense. Because they were getting caught by ELB Blasi, who were collaborating just full rotations. So actually, credit to you, A-Team Limad.
With Niedermayer and?
Niedermayer's plonked in the wheel, obviously. She doesn't have to pull. Kerbal. No?
Kerbal, yeah.
Great.
She came back after I think dipping out Vlodarczyk, who was in the next segment of riders.
But then it's 140, then it's 150. I'm like, hold on. You can't. Cassia's literally not given an inch on any punch this race. You can't give her 40 seconds on GC if you're Demi. You can't give her 30 seconds. I was like, I didn't actually know. I didn't know if anyone was bluffing. I just thought straight up Cassia was rinsing them. I think the wind really didn't play in her favor. If the wind was not as strong, this Tour de France would be completely over already. She would have taken another 30 to 40 seconds.
Patrick, if the wind was not as strong, you would have gained 150 points today, my friend.
Exactly. If the wind wasn't as strong, I would have been correct. So moral victory, we take it. We see Reusser's pacing. The others come back, and then they start to surge again. And then, and I suspected this might happen, Demi does the Del Toro, Pellizzari, Almeida. So Cassia's just pacing to the line, crosses her first Grand Tour stage victory, by the way, is it not?
Her first stage victory in a race of this level in the last 7 years. In a stage race in the last 7 years.
That's crazy.
I don't think it's even World Tour. I think it's first victory in a stage race in 7 years' time.
Yeah, since the Women's Tour of Britain in 2019.
I think for credits, it's a tweet from Killian Kelly on Twitter. Who I keep saying Killian Murphy and Killian Kelly to the wrong person.
Bombs were dropped on the Ventoux
Killian Kelly
today.
was pretty great in Oppenheimer.
In Oppenheimer, indeed. And Cassia wins the stage. But remember, she didn't win the stage on Alpe d'Huez. She was ahead because Demi crashed, and then she lost a minute on the Alpe d'Huez and came fourth and saved and won the Tour by 4 seconds by defending yellow. She didn't win a stage that year when she won the Tour de France overall classification. Here, she straight drops everybody. Nychaka's calculated her climbing performance from Saint-Estève, 55 minutes 22, 17 kilometers an hour average, nearly 1,500 VAM for just about an hour, and a 549 ASLP. That's like 5.5 watts per kilo for an hour effective performance at sea level. I think it's probably the biggest performance just about we've had in women's cycling ever.
In recorded history, at least.
Yeah, maybe someone in the 60s did more, but I wasn't there.
I wasn't there either. Maybe you were there in the 80s, but it's a notably higher level than Madeleine last year. It's a higher level by like 10 ASLP. It's ASLP than Tourmale's Poring's Tourmalet.
Yeah.
So this is an extremely high level. Perhaps greatest of all time women's cycling climbing performance. So absolutely nuclear. And I don't know how to describe it because this was super impressive. And to be clear, the time could have been faster. You could have had your 54:20.
Exactly. And this is where I want to discuss something.
Oh, okay.
Again, good is another theory I have. When small person TT good and punch good, climb good. And Cassia, TT good. That TT she did for her size, finishing 13th, losing only less than a minute to Demi, finishing where she did against Blasi, 5 seconds slower than Blasi. That's an indicator when she is, much smaller than the other riders. What's she going to do when it's a 1 hour threshold up 9%? And this is what we saw today, best performance maybe ever. She puts a minute, hold on, not a minute 50. We see Demi literally sprinting the last K. Yes. I think, does Demi have the QOM, KOM combined on the last 500 meters of Ventoux in race? I would love to see. Did she do it? I would love to see her last 500 v Pog and Jonas last 500 last year.
Well, but Pantra and so far were also sprinting, for like 500 meters straight.
True, that was surpassing.
I really don't know. Yeah, irrelevant to me. To me, the fact that voting is able to close 36 seconds of the gap that she had in the last maybe 600 meters to go shows to me that while I believe she was cooked at the start of the Bolt segment, she managed to recover to the point that she should have been doing more stuff before that kick. Because she straight up could have been in the yellow jersey if she paced it better, is my opinion.
She's completely over-indexed on trying to work over Reusser here. So she's like, Reusser didn't do the Del Toro. Reusser did her honest work, pacing as much as she could within reason on the front. Reusser's gap to Cassia doesn't change in the last K. She finishes on 148, I think.
Yeah.
So Reusser just 146, she just does the same. She was pacing, honest, pace. Demi's just sitting on her, and she's sitting on someone who's just bleeding time to Cassia. Constantly losing time to Cassia, who maybe slows down the last 500. With the gap that big, not just the time she takes out of Cassia, the time she takes out of Reusser suggests if she just squeezes her 2Ks to go, she drops her out of the wheel. She took 30 something. No, how much she take?
46 seconds?
32 seconds out of Reusser in a K. So she should have gone earlier. She's over-indexed onto taking time on Reusser. It's a fine margins in this sport. She's only on 116 with the bonies. She's now 15 seconds behind Cassia I think those 15 seconds, there was definitely 10 seconds in there. If she goes earlier, there's 10 seconds in there. And she's not in the yellow jersey. Cassia goes into the yellow jersey, leapfrogs third to first, 15 seconds ahead of Vollering. Roycer drops to third. I really don't think she could have done much different, frankly. And she's on 39 seconds. She's still in the game. 24 seconds behind Demi. ELB's on 3 minutes, so really the top three are locked in. By the way, what we would give for the men's race to have the last two stages, 3 riders within 40 seconds. I'd probably give my right arm for that. Yeah, ELB actually finishes third on the stage, 142, Roycer 146, Blasi 148, Niedermeyer 148, Kerbal 201, Vladarchik 326, KLCP 358, Holmgren, my pick. I obviously jinxed her 411. Not ideal. So
hey, she's young. She's gonna come back and do a lot better.
Yeah, when I don't pick her.
Yes, exactly. That's the sole reason here.
Cassia's looking good because, correct me if I'm wrong, there are no bonus sprints in any of the stages coming up except for the finish.
Yeah, there's 10 seconds at the finish on the final stage. Tomorrow's most likely not going to be to Demi voting. It's going to be a...
Whoa, hold on. I meant intermediate bony sprints, 6-4-2s.
There's no intermediate bonus sprints in the next... I'm going to check before I yap bullshit.
Because tomorrow...
I don't see any bonus second sprints.
Tomorrow, 172 Ks from Sisteron to Nice. There is a wall.
Maybe on Col d'Aise, the last one? I don't know.
My magic wall is tomorrow.
I know but you invented a wall on yesterday's stage as well, to the point that I don't believe there's a wall there.
There's a wall tomorrow, 450 meters, 13%. FDJ have to put the bonies in play for Demi both stages. What evidence do we have so far that Demi's going to drop Cassia?
I agree with you. And this time, there's actually like a clear 13.3% on the profile. So you didn't imagine this wall. I'll give that the first time.
I was 2 stages too early.
I agree that FDJ should try and go for the bonus seconds. On the other hand, I'm not sure it's hard enough for Ribis to drop completely here.
170 Ks?
Yeah, but there's also a descent into it, so I assume they'll come with a bit of speed.
Jerry has to do an absolutely nuclear lead out on that punch and try to get rid of. The problem is, but like you say, okay, let's say you don't drop Vivas. Do you drop KLCP? Probably not.
I don't think you do.
So then,
I definitely don't think you do.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have to put the bonies in play.
Even if you get 4 seconds at the finish.
Yeah. Because is she going to drop Cassia? We've not seen any. I mean, Cassia just dropped her by a minute.
Cassia just dropped the best women's cycling climbing performance in recorded history.
So you have to put the bonies in play.
You have to, because with the Kasia we saw today, it's going to be very difficult to drop her on the final stage.
Cassia also has Niedermeyer there, so she's got the best climbing lieutenant out of either of these two. Roycer and Demi don't have climbing support as good as Niedermeyer's level. I think Demi has to let Roycer attack. She has to gamble and let Roycer win, which is kind of the opposite of what she did today. Like, if Roycer attacks in the final tomorrow on the flat, which she should try to do, that's not Demi's problem.
That is not Demi's problem, but if Roycer takes bonus seconds away, then it is Demi's problem.
Yeah.
So that's the angle where she might actually respond because she wants the bonus seconds instead.
Yeah, true. But that's tomorrow's stage. I think Canyon have to make the break, try and win. I don't know how they're going to do that, but they got to try to make the break win. I
don't think it's happening.
Yeah, I think it's going to get controlled. And the final stage should be Cinema on Sunday. Nice to Nice, we have a brutal circuit. It's just on the Corniche of Col d'Aise, north of Beaulieu-sur-Mer, and they're just doing laps of Col d'Aise, 8K 6%, but the last rep I think is the Col de Quatre Chemins. That is where Simon Yates dropped Roglic, 2022 Paris-Nice, 3.5 Ks 8%, but there's actually a 12% K in there. There's a wall, and I don't think. I mean, if they go to that wall, Cassia could just drop them again.
What do you mean? The wall on stage 9?
Yeah. Like, what did we see last year when PFP dropped everybody on Madeleine and then Demi attacked her? PFP just counted.
I think the final stage is going to be 3 riders coming to the finish together and maybe voting winning a 3-up sprint. That's my expectation on that stage, to be honest.
But yeah,
it's not just Niewiadoma. Niedermayer has the white jersey in her hands, which, to be clear, we haven't spoken about the white jersey much. We had the fight on TV today, which we didn't have in previous years.
Can't forget that.
Niedermayer versus Blasi exists on TV, which in previous years was not the case because it was a year younger, the white jersey classification.
Yeah.
So
bizarre.
I like that we actually saw it on TV, not that there was a major fight because Niedermayer had it completely under control, but Niedermayer is not just riding for a white jersey, she's also actually helping Niewiadoma in place, and I think the team will happily, worst case scenario, give the white jersey away if it means taking the yellow jersey home. So
yeah.
Niedermayer is the top 5 climber in this race.
She needs to help Cassia win the yellow jersey. She's going to be key. I think, like
I reckon they'll do both.
Luke said in the chat, the play is for Demi and Marlon to attack her on the flat. But when Demi
especially
and Marlon...
for Reusser.
Yeah, but when they're together, Marlon also needs to take on Demi to win the race.
Yeah, that's why I think Reusser's game is attacking on the flat.
But then is Demi going to blink and just let Reusser win?
Kassia's also not like a plastic bag like Ivan Ramiro Sosa, eh?
No, and she got 40 seconds to play with on her. 15 on Demi. I think Sunday is going to be fantastic. I think probably attack's the best form of defense for Niewiadoma and just...
What do you reckon? Is this race going to be closer than the 4-second difference that we saw 2 years ago?
No.
Who do you have winning right now?
Niewiadoma is going to drop them on the Col de Quatre Chemins.
I think she won't drop them, because I don't think she has to. Maybe bonus seconds will force her up to tomorrow. I would like it to be 1 second. I'm trying to think of a scenario where it could be 1 second.
No.
Holding would have to take 4 bonus seconds tomorrow and the victory on the last stage without Niewiadoma taking bonus seconds on the final day. That's how you do it.
Yep. But I think...
Imagine a Tour de France win by 1 second. It's not impossible.
It's possible. And then
it's unlikely, though.
Cassia, I think she's got a nuclear weapon in the legs, and I think she's got to use it on the long climb on Sunday.
What a race!
What a race! Very, very exciting, and it's not over yet. We had the Queen stage, and they're closer, today than they were yesterday. So fantastic stage. Really, really enjoyed it. Just a quick wrap up. The misunderstood genius of young Kristen on display once again. Wins his first ever World Tour race, his 10th victory in Tour de Pologne. We had an absolute wall to the Cotieres Resort, 220k stage. He attacked right at the end. Brenner brought him back. Kristen let him come back. Kristen let him do a little attack and lead out and then countered him, winning the sprint. Louis Barret third. I think tomorrow's the Bukovina Resort GC stage. Really hard stage. Short, 125Ks, punchy. It's going to be an all-out chaos, and really looking forward to that one. And Burgos Brenner won the sprint.
Okay. One thing, we forgot to pick a stage winner for tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going Wibbes.
KLCP.
Okay. Both are possible.
Yep. Demi Bonies?
I don't think so. And I actually think there's a world in which they ride for Célia Géry, I'll be honest.
No.
I think there's a world in which they do it. I'm just saying.
No. We'll see.
Just to wrap it up, I've got 150 points, right?
Well, we'll let people say, I think the top comment saying it's wind adjusted, then maybe we need to revisit the points.
I'm okay with you taking the 150 points. You can have them. I'll win anyway. It doesn't matter. There's no competition here.
Why didn't I just pick Cassia? I don't know what I was thinking. Okay. Thanks for listening as always. Thanks to Thompson Bike Tools. Go check them out through the link down below. And we'll see you at the recap of Stage 8 tomorrow. Ciao, ciao, ciao.